Okay, hello everyone, and a very good evening to one and all. And now, specifically, if I talk about this particular video, in this video, as the topic says, we will decipher what exactly is this argument all about, right? So again, a very good evening to one and all, and let's discuss, right, what is this argument and how to decipher an argument as far as competitive exams are concerned. Now, before even getting into this, what exactly is this argument all about? Let's quickly find out why. राइट सो व्हाई इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, राइट? सो ये इतना इंपॉर्टेंट क्यों हो जाता है कि हमें आर्ग्यूमेंट को डिसाइफर करने के लिए हम इतना चैलेंज फेस करते हैं, इतनी ज्यादा डिफिकल्टी फेस करते हैं? व्हाई, how important it is? Let's talk about this before getting into what exactly is an argument and how to decipher that what are the important things to take care of if you want your answers right when it comes to reading comprehension, when it comes to critical reasoning so far, right? So first of all, why it is important? So if I talk about exams like CAT, exams like ZET, and exams like IFT and so on, so wherever reading comprehension is component as far as your verbal ability and reading comprehension section is concerned, it becomes very important to understand an argument, right? Why? The reason is, if I talk about all these exams, many questions, if I talk about reading comprehension, are not fact-based, but it revolves around a certain idea, right? It's revolved around a certain idea that if the main subject is very much, you are able to comprehend the main subject, you are very much able to comprehend the tone of the author towards that particular subject. So these competitive exams, they ask idea-based questions from you, right? So when I talk about idea-based questions, so the question can be on the lines, what exactly is an underlying assumption of the author behind writing all these things? Or which of the following option is strengthening the argument or weakening the argument, right? Which of the following option is an underlying assumption? All these questions will start coming in. So it's very important to understand an argument. If I talk about competitive examination, I generally, if you go with the trend these days, roughly 65% to 70% of the questions as far as reading comprehensions are concerned, it's not fact-based, they are all idea-based questions. So it's very important that you comprehend that particular argument properly, that author bolna kya chah raha. Point number two, when we talk about exams like ZET and MET, right? Or for that matter, there are some students, they go ahead and they apply for exams like GMAT or a GRE for that matter. Critical reasoning is very important. Now, what exactly is critical reasoning, right? So, पहले एक टाइम होता था जहां पर reading comprehension was a separate area wherein you get fact-based questions, what you can get from the passage, what you can conclude from the passage. Now, when I talk about critical reasoning, right? So yes, if I talk about reading comprehension, critical reasoning merged, right? They are somewhat merged. But if I talk about exams like ZET and MET for that matter, GMAT or GRE, they ask questions which is directly related to an argument. There'll be a small passage given to you, typically 150 to 200 words. Yes, a small passage is given to you. And what they ask is that from this particular passage, whether you can find out a logical flaw in the given argument. That author has given certain arguments, right? Author agrees or author disagrees towards certain things. Author might agree that, the economic condition of India is good, or author might disagree that in the current scheme of things or in the current government, under the current government rule, it impacted the most. Now author argues or author agrees or disagree. That's an argument, right? I'll talk about it, right? But what I'm trying to explain is that can you understand the argument? और अगर आपको वो आर्ग्यूमेंट समझ में नहीं आया तो फिर हमारे वो जो क्वेश्चंस हैं वो गलत होना शुरू हो जाते हैं. इसलिए मैं स्टूडेंट्स को बोलता हूं दैट इट्स ओनली वन पार्ट ऑफ द स्टोरी व्हेन यू टॉक अबाउट सर मेरे क्वेश्चंस गलत हो रहे हैं, आई एम नॉट एबल टू एलिमिनेट द ऑप्शंस. आप एलिमिनेशन में जब तक नहीं अच्छी तरीके से सही हो पाएंगे, जब तक दैट यू आर नॉट डूइंग गुड इन अंडरस्टैंडिंग द आर्ग्यूमेंट, राइट? एंड द थर्ड पॉइंट इज verbal logic questions, right? If I talk about verbal logic questions as far as SNAP and CMAT or all these examinations for that matter, MHSET or for that matter, NMAT is concerned, these verbal logic questions also, so they ask questions like strong and weak arguments, right? An argument is given to you and they will ask questions like which of the following argument is strong, right? Then they might go ahead and they will talk about that after understanding the above passage, you need to find out what can be the particular course of action, right? Or for that matter, if I talk about decision-making section as far as that is concerned, there also it's very important to understand that argument. So हर जगह हम लोग आर्ग्यूमेंट कर रहे हैं, चाहे हम कोई भी कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्जाम्स की बात करें, सो इसीलिए मेरे को आर्ग्यूमेंट को समझना बहुत जरूरी हो जाता है, राइट? सो व्हेन यू टॉक अबाउट एन आर्ग्यूमेंट, राइट, सो the belief which we have about argument is that we say it's arguing, right? So whenever I go ahead, when I talk when I explain this or when I start this topic in the classes, right, the first thing which come very direct is that it is a debate. They don't say it is a discussion, it's a debate, right? Opposite point of view, right? They talk about, argument and counter argument, counter point of view. You have to prove your point. So they talk all about, the students only have a notion that argument is negative. Actually, it is not. No, argument is not negative, right? We made it look like this way, but argument is not negative, right? Argument, yes, it can be logical. Argument can be illogical. That I agree. Argument can be logical. Argument can be illogical. But argument certainly not necessarily it's a negative argument. नहीं, ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता. Argument illogical हो सकता है. Argument are not negative, right? Now, what is this logical, illogical you are talking about, and why you are saying कि हमने तो हमेशा सुना है कि debate में, discussion में, that argument is always negative. So for an argument to be valid, right? For if or let's say if I say that if अगर आप किसी भी sentence को argument बोल रहे हैं, right? For any sentence to be eligible to become an argument, the sentence should have these two things which I have written on the slide. The first thing is we are talking about a premise, right? There has to be a premise. And the second thing, there has to be a conclusion. These are the two things which are very important or which are very important in the sense they are the necessary ingredients for any sentence to become eligible to form an argument, right? So what is a premise? What is a conclusion? So when I'm talking about a premise, so premise is that reasoning. Now I'm not stating here rational reasoning. No, this reasoning can be rational or irrational. The reasoning can be rational or irrational, right? I'll talk about it. So any reasoning which an author or let's say anyone gives on the basis of which he or she is basing that conclusion, right? किसी भी reasoning के base पे कोई भी anyone, right, जो conclusion के ऊपर reach कर पा रहे हैं. So typically in terms of competitive examination, author जो है वो argument दे रहा है. So author कुछ reasoning देगा, कुछ facts state करेगा. He'll be stating some fact, right? वो author या तो अपना कुछ opinion देगा, whatsoever. वो जो भी चीज बोलेगा, the reasoning which he or she might give, उस reasoning के base पे he will reach to a conclusion. That's an argument. That's an argument, right? So for example, if I say that that reading comprehension is very important part to crack verbal ability and reading comprehension section. Reading comprehension is a very important component to crack verbal ability and reading comprehension section in CAT. So here the conclusion is what? The conclusion is verbal ability reading comprehension को crack करने के लिए मेरा premise क्या आ रहा है, right? The premise basically is कि RC important है, या फिर इसको मैं और easy तरीके से समझाने की कोशिश करूं. अगर let's say मैं बोल रहा हूं, अगर मैं let's say if I'm giving this statement, so the conclusion is, let's say I'm saying CAT is very tough as an examination. I repeat, CAT is very tough as an examination because उसके अंदर वर्बल एबिलिटी रीडिंग कॉम्प्रिहेंशन सेक्शन है. CAT is very difficult examination because CAT as a paper has VARC section. So CAT is a difficult exam is a conclusion. CAT is a difficult exam is a conclusion. ये मेरा conclusion आ जाएगा, right? और ये conclusion मैं किस चीज पे base कर रहा हूं? I am saying because this has or CAT exam has VARC section. So this become my premise. So on the basis of this premise, I am reaching to this conclusion that because VARC section is there, इसीलिए CAT exam tough है. Is it clear? Because students are struggling in deciphering an argument, that's why teacher is taking class on argument, right? So premise leading to conclusion, premise leading to conclusion. So क्योंकि VARC सेक्शन है इसलिए CAT सेक्शन टफ है. सो ये प्रेमिस प्लस कंक्लूजन. अगर आप लेट्स से और एग्जांपल दे रहा हूं, अगर आप हम लोग स्टेटमेंट देते हैं लेट्स से दैट current scheme of current government they have not done justice to law and order situation in the country. I'm making a statement. The current government has not done proper justice to law and order of the country. Now that's the conclusion. और ये normal, not even conclusion I would say. अगर मैं सिर्फ यहां पर लाइन को छोड़ देता हूं, ये एक स्टेटमेंट बन जाएगा. ये आर्ग्यूमेंट कब बनेगा? अगर मैं रीजनिंग दूंगा. Because in the last 5 years the rate of crime has increased from 20 to 70%. If I give this data, then this data become a premise, and on the basis of this data I am reaching to a conclusion that law and order situation was not good, right? I hope I am clear here. So premise and conclusion together, put together, becomes an argument. That is something which you need to understand. Now let's take some example कि ये हम लोग कैसे explain कर सकते हैं. Let's find out, right? Forget about question as of now. Forget about question. Let's see the passage, right? The highest authority in the world that is responsible for establishing and maintaining peace in disputed regions is in trouble, right? वो क्या बोल रहा है? The highest authority जो है, जो भी highest authority है, जो कि responsible है for establishing and maintaining peace where in disputed region is in trouble. Now guys, this is something which will become my conclusion when, कब बनेगा? या भी as of now statement है, ये कब बनेगा? अगर इसका reasoning दे रखा होगा तो. Now let's see if any reasoning is provided or not. Recently there seems to be a dramatic rise in the number of peacekeeping commitments. I don't know. Let's see. Recently there seems to be a rise in the number of peacekeeping commitments and not enough sources or manpower to execute the peace. Now that is become my premise. That is becoming my premise. That is my premise one, right? That because हमारे पास manpower नहीं है to peace execute करने के लिए, इसीलिए highest authority क्या है? वो trouble में, right? So this is my P1 which is leading to that conclusion. आगे देखते हैं. Many members either do not have the military forces or the political will to alter the situation. Now that is again the reasoning. और reason आ रहा है. क्या reason आ रहा है? अच्छा, इसके अंदर भी क्या है? So man power को और explain कर रहा है. So this is my P1. This is my P1. उस P1 को भी conclude करने के लिए आगे, उस P1 को और आगे explain करने के लिए वो क्या बोल रहा है? Many members they either do not have the military forces or the political will, या फिर कुछ लोग इन दोनों से afflicted हैं. Right? So in short, my main conclusion is that highest authority is in trouble. Why they are in trouble? Because manpower का shortage है, और manpower के shortage को और explain हम क्या कर रहे हैं? It is a military forces or a political will. Is it clear? Right? So all this premise are leading to a conclusion, and this premise plus conclusion together is making this an argument. Right? So अब इसके अंदर questions क्या आते हैं? Right? So the argument make which of the following assumption? Now which can be the assumption as far as this argument is based upon? क्या एजम्पशन रहे होंगे? What author is assuming, what author is thinking, right? Good evening, Muskan. What author is thinking, or what author is assuming as far as this assumption is, this argument is concerned. So what they are asking is, the argument makes which of the following assumption? Author ने क्या सोचा होगा, क्या assume किया होगा when he or she is giving this particular argument. ठीक है, अब assumptions क्या आते हैं समझने की कोशिश करना, राइट? सो यहां पर आया था प्रेमिस, ठीक है। प्रेमिस में उसने क्या बोला था? उन्होंने बोला था दैट मैन पावर का शॉर्टेज है, मैन पावर का शॉर्टेज है, राइट? पॉलिटिकल विल का शॉर्टेज है, राइट? मैन पावर का शॉर्टेज है, पॉलिटिकल विल का शॉर्टेज है, राइट? कंक्लूजन क्या पर आया था? इस वजह से जो हाईएस्ट अथॉरिटी है, जो हाईएस्ट अथॉरिटी है, they are in trouble. Between premise and conclusion, guys समझने की कोशिश करना, between premise and conclusion, ये जो एरो है यहां पर आपके आ जाते हैं assumptions, यहां पर आपके आ जाते हैं assumptions. So assumptions क्या चीज है? Assumptions वो चीज है जिसके बेस पे, so with the help of assumptions, what are assumptions? With the help of assumptions, premise, with the help of assumption, premise reach to a conclusion. Assumptions क्या है? With the help of assumption जो है, premise जो है वो conclusion तक पहुंच सकता है, else it is very difficult. So उसने बोला मैन पावर और पॉलिटिकल विल नहीं है और हाईएस्ट अथॉरिटी ट्रबल में है, तो बीच के अंदर क्या assumption रहे होंगे, राइट? That is something which you need to find out, right? हालांकि we have a separate discussion we'll do on this, right? So let's go to option number 1. Option number 1 क्या बोल रहा है? Let's find out. Peacekeeping commitments are an essential part of a political party agenda. अब वो बोल रहा है that peacekeeping commitments जो हैं, they are a essential part of a political party agenda. Okay, we agree. We definitely agree that it is an essential part of a political party agenda. Now, point is, yes, they are an essential part, but यहां पर हम लोग बोल रहे हैं highest authority जो है वो trouble में है. Highest authority जो है वो क्या है? वो trouble के अंदर है, वो essential part है, अच्छी बात है. We are not disagreeing with the fact. अगर वो part भी होता, so understand what I am saying. यहां पर एसेंशियल लिखा होना जरूरी नहीं है. अगर यहां पर एसेंशियल हटा देते हैं तब शायद ये assumption सही होगा. Guys, understand what I'm saying. Understand what I'm saying. ये assumption क्यों आ रहा है? मैं बोल रहा हूं that option is saying that peacekeeping commitments are an essential part of a political party agenda. So whether it is an essential part or not an essential part, still highest authority is in trouble. The moment आप essential हटा देते हो, अब इसको अगर आप पढ़ेंगे that peacekeeping commitments are part of a political party agenda, ये मेरा assumption बन जाएगा, because अगर वो political party के agenda में होता ही नहीं, then why we are making this argument? Why we are making this argument? They are in trouble. They are in trouble because these peacekeeping commitments are part of the agenda. Necessary part है, essential part है या नहीं है, we don't know, and that's the reason this assumption will be invalid. I'll come up with a separate video on how to what exactly are assumptions. We'll talk about in assumptions that how to solve assumption basis questions, right? But यहाँ पर मैं आपको छोटा सा आइडिया देना चाह रहा हूं कि अगर आपको आर्ग्यूमेंट दिया हो तो आप कितनी अच्छी तरीके से ऑप्शंस एलिमिनेट कर सकते हैं. पॉइंट नंबर 2, there exists a need for maintaining peace in the disputed regions. There exists a need. Okay, there exists a need for maintaining peace. अच्छी बात है, but the point is they are in trouble. They are in trouble. The main argument is what? The main argument is that they have a problem of military forces and political will. That is the main problem. एक मिलिट्री फोर्सेस का प्रॉब्लम है, मैन पावर का प्रॉब्लम है, वहां पर सबसे ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम आ रही है. सो नीड फॉर मेंटेनिंग पीस इन द डिस्प्यूटेड रीजन. अच्छा, दूसरी चीज इसके अंदर और है, यहां पर उसने बोला है क्या, दैट दे आर बेसिकली इन ट्रबल। जो डिस्प्यूटेड रीजन्स के अंदर है दे आर इन ट्रबल। जो डिस्प्यूट, सो वो क्या बोल रहा है, द हाईएस्ट अथॉरिटी इन द वर्ल्ड दैट इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर एस्टैब्लिशिंग एंड मेंटेनिंग पीस इन डिस्प्यूटेड रीजन इज इन ट्रबल। वो ट्रबल के अंदर है। नीड है या नहीं है उसके ऊपर ज्यादा बात नहीं कर रहे, हम लोग बात कर रहे हैं ट्रबलिंग के ऊपर। ऑप्शन नंबर 3, द ऑस्टेंसिबल पर्पस ऑफ पीस कीपिंग इज अ ह्यूमैनिटेरियन मूव। वो बोल रहा है द ऑब्वियस पर्पस, राइट, द पर्पस ऑफ पीस कीपिंग इज अ ह्यूमैनिटेरियन मूव। वो बोल रहा है पर्पस क्या है पीस कीपिंग का, वो एक ह्यूमैनिटेरियन मूव है। अब पॉइंट इज, अगर ये ह्यूमैनिटेरियन मूव नहीं है तो ये लोग क्यों कंसर्न हो रहे हैं? अगर वो ह्यूमैनिटेरियन मूव नहीं है तो ये लोग क्यों कंसर्न हो रहे हैं? अब यहां पर आप एजम्पशंस के अंदर डाल लो, वो क्या बोल रहा है, मैन पावर की कमी है, पॉलिटिकल विल की कमी है, हाईएस्ट अथॉरिटी जो है इस वजह से ट्रबल पे है। तो एजम्पशन क्या रहेगा? एजम्पशन ये रहेगा कि यार ये एक ह्यूमैनिटेरियन मूव है। अगर यही लोग काम नहीं करे, अगर यही लोग काम नहीं करेंगे तो ट्रबल में तो हो गए होगा, राइट। पीस मेंटेन करना नीड है, अच्छी बात है, पीस मेंटेन करना नीड है, अच्छी बात है, बट वो क्या बोल रहा है यहां पर सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम क्या है? एग्जीक्यूशन। एग्जीक्यूशन सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम है। एंड सी इसीलिए एलिजिबल हो जाता है एज अ वैलिड एजम्पशन। और फोर्थ ऑप्शन क्या बोल रहा है? पीस कीपिंग कमिटमेंट्स आर आउटसाइड द स्कोप। यार अगर पीस कीपिंग कमिटमेंट्स आउटसाइड द स्कोप है तो हम इसमें बात ही क्यों कर रहे होते? दे आर वेल इन द स्कोप और इसीलिए हम इसकी बात कर रहे हैं। सो द पॉइंट इज दे आर आउटसाइड द स्कोप। अगेन ये assumption हो नहीं सकता, दे आर विद इन द स्कोप, दैट्स व्हाई वी आर टॉकिंग। यहां पर वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट नीड फॉर मेंटेनिंग पीस, दैट्स ओके, बट वी आर मोर कंसर्न अबाउट how to take care of the sources. That's the major problem and that's why we are in trouble. And A option बोल रहा है essential part. If at all essential thing would have been missing from this option, then I could have marked option number A as an answer. So hence C option is eligible to be there as an answer, that it is a valid assumption that if humanitarian move होता ही नहीं तो हम लोग सोर्सेज की बात क्यों कर रहे थे, एग्जीक्यूशन की बात क्यों कर रहे थे, राइट। सो अगर आपको आर्ग्यूमेंट समझ में आता है तो आप चीजों को आगे लेके जा सकते हैं। अगेन यू माइट से कि सर अभी भी हमारे को कुछ कुछ जगह प्रॉब्लम है, विल कम अप विद द assumption रिलेटेड वीडियो एज वेल। एज ऑफ नाउ मेरा यहाँ पर इस पर्टिकुलर क्लास का ऑब्जेक्टिव जो है, इस पर्टिकुलर वीडियो का ऑब्जेक्टिव जो है, दैट इज बेसिकली टू एक्सप्लेन यू आर्ग्यूमेंट, राइट, जो आई थिंक फुलफिल हो गया होगा, राइट। नेक्स्ट एक और एग्जाम्पल बिफोर वी एंड। The purpose of human life is an unanswerable question. Very good. So बोल रहे हैं the purpose, अगर आप human life के purpose find out करने की बात कर रहे हो, it is unanswerable. No one can find out answer here. It seems impossible to find an answer. It seems impossible to find an answer because we don't know where to begin. हमें पता ही नहीं कहां पर ढूंढना है और किससे पूछना है। जब यही नहीं पता है तो हम आंसर कैसे फाइंड आउट करेंगे? एग्जिस्टेंस टू अस सीम्स टू बी समथिंग इम्पोज्ड अपॉन अस बाय अननोन फोर्स। हम एग्जिस्ट क्यों करते हैं ये भी हमारी खुद की इच्छा नहीं थी, ये किसी ने हमें बोला। देयर इज नो अपैरेंट मीनिंग टू इट, देयर इज नो अपैरेंट मीनिंग टू इट, एंड येट वी सफर एज रिजल्ट ऑफ इट। तब भी हम लोग सफर करते हैं एज अ रिजल्ट ऑफ इट। द वर्ल्ड सीम्स chaotic. We try to impose meaning on it through pattern and fabricated purpose. हम लोग मीनिंग कैसे फाइंड आउट करने की कोशिश करते हैं? either to find out a pattern or fabricated purpose which is not original. Why? To distract ourselves from the fact, किस fact से, that we are hopelessly unfathomable, we are not comprehensible at all, right? So now let's find out a conclusion here. Let's find out a conclusion here. The conclusion here was the purpose of human life is an unanswerable question. The purpose of a human life is an unanswerable question. That, my dear students, is conclusion of this argument. Now, why it is an unanswerable question? Why it is an unanswerable question? Then again, these are all premise, and premise. These are all premise, 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 and premise. These are all the reasoning. And on the basis of this reasoning, we are reaching to this conclusion. I hope, guys, you're getting it. I hope आप लोगों को समझ में आ गया होगा that what exactly this argument is all about. You might found it difficult in the last question to find out that what exact how we reach to that particular assumption option, but I think argument आपको कहीं ना कहीं समझ में आ गया, right? So I've given you a premise, I've given you a conclusion, right? अब again वो आपसे क्या पूछ रहा है? Which of the following statement can be concluded? Now you have to conclude it, and I'm telling you, अगर आपको argument समझ में आ जाता है, so conclusion find out करना बहुत easy हो जाता है. Now the moment I tell you to find out to pause this video, or let's say if you're listening it later on, or let's say find out the answer, let's see where you will find the problem and how you need to solve this. So जैसे हम लोग बात करते हैं इसके अंदर, so major concern students का जो आता है, it may be either C or it may be D. It may be C or it may be D. Let's try to find out क्या होगा, क्यों होगा, किस लिए होगा. You have to conclude. अब आपको समझ में आ गया conclusion और premise, right? So the first thing, the spirit of human life is indomitable. The spirit of human life is indomitable, and the potential of human mind is inconceivable. वो बोल रहा है spirit of human life is indomitable. Human life की जो spirit है, that is indomitable, and the potential of human mind is inconceivable. Now यहाँ पर सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम क्या आ गई थी? वो प्रॉब्लम थी ये, nowhere it was given. Nowhere it was given. You cannot conclude this from option A. I hope I am clear here, right? Let's go to option number B. It is more important to undergo the journey rather than trying to comprehend the reasons. No, they are not talking about कि नहीं reasons ढूंढना बंद कर दो. It's better कि तुम जीते रहो. ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं बोला था उसने. So please, please, please don't put any outside ज्ञान here. Don't put any outside ज्ञान here, right? And the last C option क्या बोल रहा है? Human life cannot have fathomable purpose. Human life का कोई भी purpose हो ही नहीं सकता. Now guys, this is where the problem is. This is where the problem is, जहाँ student confuse होते हैं. Now this is something which is very extreme. ऐसा author कहीं पर भी conclude नहीं बोल रहा है कि हो ही नहीं सकता. उसने बोला है, but हम answer नहीं कर पा रहे. उसने बोला है हाँ शायद है, पता नहीं, बट हम इसको आंसर नहीं कर पा रहे हैं. स्टूडेंट सी आंसर मार करके आ जाता है, बिकॉज सर यहाँ पर भी अनफैथोमेबल लिखा हुआ था, यहाँ पर फैथोमेबल लिखा हुआ था, यहाँ से भी कंफ्यूज हो गए. और दूसरा ह्यूमन लाइफ कैन नॉट हैव अ पर्पस. यार उन्होंने ऐसा बोला है, द पर्पस ऑफ ह्यूमन लाइफ इज अनआंसरेबल क्वेश्चन. इट्स अनआंसरेबल क्वेश्चन. इसका मतलब ये थोड़ा ना कि लाइफ का मीनिंग नहीं है, ऐसे मत करो यार, राइट? सो इसलिए मेरा सी ऑप्शन भी हट जाएगा. एंड डी क्या बोल रहा है जो कि समझ में नहीं आया था? लेट्स ट्राई टू फाइंड आउट. Life appears supposedly tolerable. Life tolerable हो सकती है when human mind को जो है आप दूसरी डायरेक्शन के अंदर डिस्ट्रैक्ट कर दो, swerved into another direction. अगर आप ह्यूमन माइंड को किसी और दिशा के अंदर डिस्ट्रैक्ट कर दो तो लाइफ टॉलरेबल हो सकती है. बच्चा पूछता है ये आंसर कैसे? ये आंसर इस तरीके से. लेट्स गो टू द लास्ट लाइन. वो क्या बोल रहा है? We try to impose meaning on it through pattern and fabricated purpose. हम उसको एक मन घड़त कहानियों से, पर्पस से मीनिंग देने की कोशिश करते हैं. Why? To distract ourselves from the fact. हम अपने फैक्ट से डिस्ट्रैक्ट करने की कोशिश करते हैं that our situation is hopelessly unfathomable. हम इसको सुधार नहीं सकते. इस चीज को इंप्रूव करने के लिए हम माइंड को डिस्ट्रैक्ट करते हैं. एंड दैट्स व्हाट वाज गिवन इन ऑप्शन नंबर डी. इज इट क्लियर गाइस? सो आज हम लोगों ने देखा दैट व्हाट एग्जैक्टली इज एन आर्गुमेंट. दैट्स व्हाट वी हैव डन. आर्गुमेंट इज समथिंग व्हिच हैज टू थिंग्स, premise and a conclusion. Premise वो चीज है जिसके बेस पे हम लोग conclusion तक पहुंच रहे हैं. और हमने एक क्वेश्चन देखा जहां पर आई थिंक आपको कई जगह कंफ्यूज देखा भी होगा assumptions के ऊपर. I'll come up with what exactly this assumption is all about very soon on YouTube lectures as well, or let's say on Ekoching channel as well, right? So thank you guys. I hope you have enjoyed it, right? If you have any suggestions, anything, if you need any more suggestions, any more feedback, anything about अगर आपको कुछ समझ में नहीं आया है, you can reach out to us on all the details which is given in the details below, right? Thank you guys. Thank you everyone. Stay tuned and keep watching Ekoching.